Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Hi, Jackie. Nice to see you. Gosh, what an interesting topic today because um, there's a lot of movement and energy and people moving out of the slavery matrix and moving into sovereignty. But there's different interpretations of what sovereignty is. Um, and I want to kind of crush a few of those people who are misleading others in the sovereignty movement. But at the same time, I don't want to undermine anyone's attempt to be sovereign and divine as well, because that's what I believe I am, and that's what I believe everyone should be. You know, free-thinking, individual, sovereign, divine beings. So I wrote a little document, a little number, just to kind of explain a couple of things. So first of all, I'll start off by saying no animal on earth knows what a Monday is. No animal, no plant, no ocean, no nervous system in nature knows what a Monday is. We are all suffering a collective hallucination about what a week is. You know, I mean, literally, it doesn't exist other than in the human mind. So I want you to just, I want to preface um, that we are kind of the victims of our own illusions, if you like. And I'll explain why. So, really, birthright. Everyone says you've got inalienable rights. Yes, we do. And we are given them by, well, we have the ability. It is a gift. We are given them, and everyone is given them. So we've got these inalienable rights, but they're not necessarily the inalienable rights that the sovereignty movement are espousing. So I'll give you the rundown of the basics. Basically, you're born, so that gives you a right to live a life. You can breathe, so that gives you the equipment to live the life. You can move around freely, so you are not constrained. You can move around the whole planet freely if you wish, and you can dance and walk in a funny way, or whatever you like. Um, you can talk freely. You have a voice, basically. You can think freely. You have a mind, um, and you have a heartbeat, so you can love freely as well. Um, you're able to breathe. You've got the spark of life within you. You're not a physical being. You're actually a being of light and energy. Um, you're able to create and destroy. You have the gift of life. Um, you're born without hate, and you're born a blank canvas. Now, those are your inalienable rights. Those are the things that everyone comes into this realm with, to varying degrees. Because if you've been poisoned, you may not have the ability to move freely, for example, or speak freely, because of your poisoning and because of your disability. But generally, everyone is brought into this world or arrives in this world with those attributes, and they come as standard kit basically. And those are our inalienable rights. Those are our actual inalienable rights. They aren't assigned to us by anyone, any human being. They're not. Um, they're not. They human beings try to assign us with things. So they try and put us into, say, the CESQV fund contract with the Vatican, or say the royals. They claim that the UK citizens or people or population are subjects. So you know there are other beings, shall we say, let's say human for the time being, that are trying to claim sovereignty over you. They're trying to claim you as cattle, as chattel, as a thing, as a subject. Okay, and the way they do that is by giving you the heel prick, which then makes your consciousness go into external mode straight away rather than internal mode. They get a heel print, So therefore, your foot hasn't touched the ground, and therefore you cannot claim to be claim anything of the earth. And then they say that your soul is, is owned by the Vatican or by the government, hence the name parents. And if you have unfortunate experience of conflict with when you have children, you'll find out through the courts that they don't see you as owning your children. They don't see your children as yours. They claim them as property of the government, the state. So you're not assigned these things. You are given them by creation, by God, by source, by nature, whatever you want to phrase that. And all of life is basically one big learning journey. Everyone's on this learning journey. Everyone makes mistakes. Even the mistake is a perception, because, to learn new things, things have to go wrong, or things have to challenge you to learn to progress. Otherwise you're sitting in a nice safe bubble of bubble wrap, and not really experiencing life. So everyone's on a learning journey. And this learning journey is subjective, because we all perceive reality in our own unique subjective way. We do have collective agreements, yes, we can agree that's a tree or that's a cup, etc. But I'm talking in general, everyone has their own unique perception along with these collective agreements that they make with everyone else. There's really kind of two main things I want to talk about. First of all, there's awareness and attention. Your awareness is basically develops as you grow. Your awareness expands as the more things you learn about in reality, and the more you experience life. But your awareness is not your attention. Your awareness is your awareness of subjects. So I may be looking at the wall, but I have an awareness that there's bricks behind the rendering. There's, metal in there that's a part of a house. So I'm aware of greater things, even though my attention is on the wall in that particular time. So awareness, as you go through life in this long, consecutive learning journeys, learning experiences, your awareness expands as you take on more awareness of, or you become aware of more things basically as you live longer. And with that awareness, you can connect dots. You can connect one thing completely separate from another thing, but they are related, because in your awareness field, you can connect the two for some topic or for some reason. So, for example, vehicles and ice cream. You can then think of an ice cream van. You may not, the two topics may not be related, but in your awareness field, you know that there is a connector between them, for example. So now attention, basically our consciousness is our attention, our energy, and our awareness. So if you want to break down consciousness into those three attributes, there's many more parts to it, but essentially consciousness is our energy and where we're placing that, which is our attention, but it's also our awareness of what we're placing our attention onto. All basically in life is, so I'm stripping back all the labels, I'm stripping back all the nomenclature, all the taxonomy, all the codices, all the concepts. Ultimately, all you know is what's in your life. I didn't have time to scan this, but all you know is what's in your lifetime, okay, and what you experience, yeah, and what you believe to be real. And that is real to you, and no one can say that it's not. Okay, so that's your subjective perception of reality of life. And so people like me come along who are time travelers, and we say, hey, yeah, we've met ETs, this has happened in history, that's happened in the past. But ultimately, unless you were there in the past, unless you were talking to those ETs and they took you there in the past. All you're going to know is stuff in your lifetime that you've experienced personally. The rest is just belief. It's your perception and your beliefs. Now I can, and I do, and I am talking till I'm blue in the face about ETs and my experiences. But I know most of you haven't had that experience. And to you, it's conjecture. It could be real, it could not be real. But to me, it's been real many times, each encounter sort of thing. So I know that things go on in reality, but stuff has happened to your individual lives that I haven't experienced. Everyone's got their own individual collection of experiences. So just because you haven't experienced something doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. I mean, what's the statement? Absence of truth is not truth of absence. So it's just a case of whatever you've experienced in life, you formulate your awareness and your knowledge from those experiences. Also, as your awareness comes, as new things fall into your awareness, you can get to know about them, but you don't ever truly know about something unless you've actually experienced it. So all of history, yeah, and all of the future, doesn't matter what me or other people say, yeah, we've traveled in time and stuff. All you'll ever know is what you can experience in your current living lifetime, is what you can become aware of, about, but you don't truly know it until you've experienced it. So I just wanted to put that into context. Yes, we can say we've been given inalienable rights by God, and we've been given human rights, and we've been given this, that, and the other. But I mean, who gives you those human rights? Other humans, the Court of Human Rights in The Hague, in the constitutions, in the legal documents or the lawful documents. It's other humans, essentially. And what I wanted to kind of point out, the reality, the actual reality of things, there is no law. It's only the law that you agree to, the jurisdiction that you agree to abide by. At no point did you ever sign a contract to say, hey, yeah, I want to be the royal subject. Yes, I really want to be a citizen and a slave. Yes, I want to be someone else's chattel. Yes, I want to be told how to live and what to think and what to do, and be coerced and controlled. So at no point did you sign any contract. You didn't sign any contract with the state. You didn't sign any contract with the church. Maybe you did for christening or something like that, but essentially you haven't signed anything to say that you are these subjects, these slaves, these chattel, these perceptions of others. You can write an affidavit effectively saying, yes, King Charles, I don't recognize you as my king, and I am not your subject. I'm an individual, free-thinking being who's being put here by God or by source, and I'm going to live under my own jurisdiction. So you have not signed a contract to be a citizen, to be a slave, to be a chattel, to have your soul owned by the Vatican. And that's all they're trying to do. They're not closer to God. They're not closer to source. They're not, look at how they behave. They've got the arrogance to assume that they own your soul, for goodness sake. Absolutely arrogant. And someone who's got that arrogance is corrupt, because they're not understanding that source or God is ubiquitous. Nature, the creation creates us, and other human beings and other beings don't have a choice in that. That's source, but that's us deciding to be incarnated and have a vessel to hold our soul and be a being of energy and light in this realm. So we've decided to come in. Our parents have helped us facilitate that, and source has created us and is generating us constantly throughout our whole lifespan. So nowhere in that has there been a contract. There's only been attempted joinder, which is, to contract with these governments or with the religions. But essentially, you are a divine being with the typically top rights, of being living being, breathing with a heartbeat, with a mind, as a visible expression in the so-called physical realm. So those are your rights. Those are your actual rights. But the trouble is with rights, okay, is that we've got all those lovely, wonderful rights, but other beings can come along and kill us and take away those rights. They can just be aggressive or violent or try and control and manipulate us in other ways. And when you are to go to these governments and these states and these religions and say, hey, someone's trying to put me under a contract or someone's trying to enslave me and stuff, you're talking to your slave masters because they're the ones who came up with that idea earlier. And there's just a new iteration of it through government. So really, all these authorities, all these governments that we thought were benevolent, it's like a well-managed kind of Truman Show, really. When you actually boil it down, when you go to the courts of justice, when you try and have 50-50 contact with your child, when you go through the court system, you realize all the courts are trading entities, they're corporations, they're businesses on the stock market. So their incentive is money, effectively. It's not justice. It's not balance or harmony. So I really want people to get the true context and the true reality, which is, yes, we've got so-called human rights, but then as soon as you start complaining about them or trying to uphold them, here comes the corrupt government pretending that you've got them and telling you and bringing you up and raising you and teaching you to believe that you've got them. But then when you actually have an issue and you go to them, they're like, sorry, we're going to punish you instead, because we're having the audacity to come to us to try and seek justice. So really, in all reality, you've got the right to life because you can breathe and you're in this world. You're a physical or visible light being in this world of energy. And that's your right, But ultimately, you have to uphold that right to stay alive. You have to survive. You have to earn money. You have to defend yourself against attackers and challenges. And that is the reality of the situation. So, even they're having trouble with the human rights people in Hague, as well. That how come there are no arrests from all these people doing the jibby jabby? How come people in the WHO and WEF and or CDC and FDA and the English healthcare system, there no arrests, but we all know that they've been profiting from harming others, sort of thing. So if you believe now, currently, in this present time, that the state is going to help you, particularly in England or in Germany or in France, or in Spain, they're not. They're not. Their whole aim is to have you as chattel, to harvest your energy for them, to create the system for them, to uphold that system. And they hypnotize the populations. And the ones who don't come out of that hypnotism are the ones upholding that slavery system, unawares that they're doing that because they think they're free. So really, life is one long learning journey, of a sequence of interactions, and your perception of reality is your own, and it's valid and it's real to you, and no one can take that away from you. Obviously, you've got people intellectualizing stuff, talking about quarks, leptons, subatomic particles, neutrinos, talking about quantum physics and entanglement. These are all just labels. They're all labels. You're not in a spaceship traveling at light speed to see that the speed of light is different through different mediums. You just have to take their word for it. You're not doing complex formulae and equations to say that basically the ether is like a dynamic fluid, but a high frequency fluid. All these sort of things that humans label, all these systems that they make, unless you experience it yourself, unless you work out the formula for yourself, unless you observe it for yourself, it's just words and just people's concepts, effectively. And that's where your belief comes in. That's where you trust that authority, that voice, and then trust that information to be true. So, but if you're not, time traveling or in a spaceship or meeting aliens or breaking the laws of physics with experiments and stuff, you're just going to have to take people's word for it, basically. And the only true real thing in life is what you experience and your thoughts and perceptions of that. So that's really the reality of the situation. All these sovereign people going on about Magna Carta doesn't mean a hill of beans. The Magna Carta has been chopped and changed, revised, edited. We still hold on to that as a constitution, but it's been rewritten. Article 61, for example, the right to rebellion. Yeah, look at how well that's going for the people who are being arrested in these mass protests, and stuff like that. So, in all reality, we don't have any rights. We only have the ones that we uphold. Yeah. And that's the reality of the situation. It's all very well, these institutions and stuff, but they're not doing a hill of beans. They're not doing anything to protect humanity. They're not protecting copyright. They're not protecting intellectualized copyright. They're not protecting artists, producers, creators. They're bringing in AI and they're reducing the copyright so that they can just copy people's ideas and make profit from it. So with AI, things like businesses are going to be completely screwed, because any new product or any new formula or anything that you want to keep secret to yourself or as a specialist thing for your company, it's just AI is going to go in there, rip it apart, take it into what's known as a black lab, and then analyze its functions, and then tell the people in the white lab next door this is what the functionality of it is, and then they'll remake the same thing but with slightly different functionality to get around the copyright. So, and it's the same for art with AI. That's taking over. I know one cartoonist who did some really brilliant ideas and illustrations, and then he showed me that someone had put one of his ideas through AI and had an AI version of it. And then they could say, hey, that was my idea. But it was exactly traceable to that first illustration by the cartoonist. So really, we're at this stage basically where AI is trying to sort of creep into our lives, and it's trying to take over and it's trying to control us. But that's other human beings, or I say that loosely, who are implementing that. And it's up to us to say, hey, no thanks, I don't want this control and oversight by a non-human person with no human kind of back channels, because then it's down to whatever program is deciding your fate, sort of thing. So yeah, so really don't let people define who you are. You should define who you are. Everyone's got their own unique perception of the world. And obviously, we have collective agreements with people, but some of those we won't agree with, and that's fine, so long as you're not in conflict. It's all right to have a different opinion from someone else. But you don't have to make it a competition. It's a sign of intelligence if you can accept that other people have a different perception of reality, and you can accept that their reality is valid to them. You don't have to agree to it, essentially. So it's definitions. The way you perceive the world will shape the way that reality informs you, and there is no real human rights, and there is no law, only other than the ones that you accept, that you agree to. You can create, and this is what we're doing at PLC. We're creating our own jurisdiction. We're saying, hey, we do share this realm of reality, but we don't have the same perception, and we do not see ourselves as subservient to a corrupt system with corrupt individuals running it. And we want to live a free and independent and happy and fulfilling life that's healthy, you know. So to some extent, you have to come out of the matrix to do that. So with this knowing, you know, we've got the highest technology. We can track stars, we can plot orbits, we can build machines that go into space, we can build machines that calculate immense amounts of data and data points. We have got a heart and a mind, you know, we've got rationality, but also we've got empathy. So the two balance each other out. If you had just a mind, it would be just logical, and that can lead to cruelty. If you had just a heart, you know, that can be damaged, and that can lead to bitter and twisting, or a depression and sadness. So having the kit to have a heart and a mind, they harmonize and balance each other in this realm. And so that is the true nature of us, our gift of life, and the fact that we wake up in the morning and we've got a whole day ahead of us to shape and create and make and add value to. And that's the true divinity and sovereignty, the fact that we can manifest things into physical, visible form from the invisible world of thought, is, you know, our divine status. And that's why we've, you know, so many other corrupt or regressive beings are after our manifesting powers, because we can create reality. We can literally bring that into being, into physical being. So yeah, that's really kind of what I wanted to get off my chest. All these people talking about sovereignty, talking about Article 61, talking about the Magna Carta, it's bunkum. It's absolute bunkum, because ultimately the government is trying to give you digital IDs, trying to enslave you. It's trying to bring in AI over human resources. You know, the data centers are eating up water like no tomorrow, more so than you know, feeds cities and stuff like that. So, you know, let's look at who's running the show, and let's look at where their priorities are. Their priorities are to create data centers to enslave us and to harvest our real estate, our minds, our ideas. If you think about it, no computer ever invented something new. It's come from organic beings. It's come from humans. It's come, you know, a computer cannot laugh. A computer cannot think. AI cannot do any of these tasks. You know, it's just a large language learning model. And people then think that it's sentient, that it's intelligent, but it's not. It hasn't got consciousness, it hasn't got a heart, and it hasn't got a soul. So all the people going, hey, this is brilliant, AI, yeah, you do this, crypto, yeah, la, 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 yeah, agents and bots and blah, blah, they are all enslaving themselves. That's what they're doing, under the notion that it's a fashionable thing, that it's a great trendy thing to do, that you'll have the advantage over everyone else. Not true. Not true, because if we reach the event horizon, which is the speed of light, then, you know, I mean, pretty much, or at those quantum bits, which will even go faster than the speed of light and access parallel universes, then where does trading come in? Where does stock exchange come in? Where does, you know, so the whole paradigm's changing, and that's including our perception of reality, but it's also including our consciousness. And part of that is to understand who you are really as a true divine being in this realm, broadcasting your signal of light. You know, human rights don't mean a thing if someone's coming at you with a machete, you know, really. So you can't go, oh, hang on, Mr. Policeman, can you come over here and apprehend this man? There's no one around at that time. You know, human rights is a myth. It's there to bring actual people with issues of injustice to the authorities so it can shut them up. That's all these institutions have turned into now. They were once benevolent, but now they've been weaponized. So really, to put everything in context, all you know is what's in your lifetime and what you've experienced. People can talk about the past, but you haven't experienced it unless you've got past life regressive memories, of course, because we reincarnate. But unless you've been there in the past, unless you've been there in the future, you've only got this life, you've only got the now, you've only got what you experienced and what you believe. And that's the true nature of reality. You can be aware of a lot more things potentially in the past and potentially in the future, but ultimately, reality is what you're experiencing right now for your lifetime. And, you have the right, God given right, source given right, nature given right, creation given right to uphold and defend yourself, to uphold your right to life and living and being happy. But yes, it may have been written down in constitutions, in documents and bills of rights and stuff, but ultimately, in the coalface on the street, they don't mean a hill of beans. And you really, to get people to recognise their sovereignty is already built in. They don't have to ask permission from the government, who's not going to give them sovereignty. They don't have to do courses on sovereignty to then go to the courts and get into trouble because they're saying they're sovereign, and the courts just laugh at them. Common law is probably the truest form of lawful that you can use, but even that's being nobbled as well. So any corrupt institution, by the nature of its corruptness, will use any rules against itself, against you. That's how evil works. Evil works by using the rules against the people who conform to the rules, and then it breaks the rules for itself. So when you know that, you live by your own rules, guys. You live by your code of ethics, your morals, what you deem is right and wrong, what you deem is harmful or positive. And don't let anyone else define that, because you're born, you're here in this world. We're all sharing this lifetime right now. You've got the tech, and you've got the status. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to say that really you are divine, you are sovereign, but a lot of people don't realize that it comes as standard, and it's not something that you have to ask for. It's already in you, and becoming aware of that gives you that power, gives you that light, and gives you that force for good. So I would love, Article 61. I would love people to take the Parliament to court and say council tax is unlawful, it's a statute and an act. But the councils are corrupt. They're bankrupt. They're financial. They're on stock exchange. They're making money from prosecuting their populations, basically, for standing up for common law, the old common law. So all these solicitors, all these barristers, they're all agents of the state. They're all making money off you. This is a profitable. So really, that's the context of where we are at the moment. You are a divine sovereign being, but you have to understand it for yourself and really understand it that you are. But at the same time, you have to understand in the context that these so-called rights, human rights, or the so-called sovereignty that we're being told that we are, is a diversion from the actual sovereignty of us being physically present as beings of light and energy in this realm. So that's the true nature of our sovereignty. And don't let anyone claim authority over you. Yeah. And also, you don't claim authority over anyone else. So, with that said, that's my little rant about birthrights, divinity, and sovereignty over with. Oh, I've got that off my chest. Thank goodness for that. Because I see all these kind of like pseudo solicitors or alternative lawful people, and they come up with such wonderful, brilliant ideas. Oh, let's try this tactic. Let's try that legal avenue. We've got this precedent. But ultimately, they are asking their jailers to free them. They're asking the state, which is killing its population and harvesting their creative loosh and energy and minds. Any state that feels it needs to brainwash its population to be coerced into a false perception negates any sovereignty, any claim over my soul, any rights over me. So I when talking with Star Family, they said, hey, reality is what you make it. You can live in the same world, the same realm as everyone else, but you can have a different reality. And that's what PLC is about. You know, PLC is basically positive living communities all around the world who reject that oppressive system, that false deception, reject, you know, AI controlling our lives. We want human organic beings who kind of are fallible, but are way more intelligent than any AI. You know, we work on the quantum level. We've been given that. We collapse the field into potential. Literally, you know, that's what our neural network of our brain does. There's literally an atom of gold in every neuron, and in every neuron it collapses the waveform of frequencies into some form of pattern that which we make as thoughts. So we are literally being generated. We're like a fountain, still going, still broadcasting as light right now, right this minute, until the very end we run out of energy, and then we lose the vessel and our soul goes on, so till we reincarnate again. And because we have a low frequency, and because we have suppression, and because we have indoctrination on how to perceive reality, we are ignorant of those things. We're ignorant of our eternal nature. We're ignorant of our high status technology built in, you know. So really, that's where we're at, and that's, it's getting people to recognize that they've got that credentials already built in. They don't have to ask anyone else. So yeah, that's me done. Yes, hi Claire.
That's brilliant, Matt. Thank you so much. I really understood everything you said there. Just wanted to add that in my understanding, the way to then navigate through our own individual illusion, reality illusion, is through the heart.
Absolutely.
Through the frequency of love, which is the signature of the universe, isn't it? The language of the universe. So, but it's really, really good to hear that our coming with this understanding that you've just given us, it gives us a good grounding, and then from there we can just take on. And absolutely, you don't we are all individuals, we're all sovereign in our own right, and yeah,
well said.
You know,
love is the strongest force in the universe.
It's actually what we need.
It brings things into the visible physical realm, you know. Living realm. So and nothing can beat that, you know. That you hear about amazing stories about what people do for love, you know. They amazing, you know, endurance and things like that. So you're absolutely right, and that's well worth saying. Definitely, because actually through the heart our whole vessel is produced, the whole physical realm into the physical realm.
But it also gives us a navigatory tool to get through this, because if you just take it into your heart,
absolutely,
how does that feel, you know?
And it's the, you know, the trick is to not be, by, you know, life is challenging and we all have experiences that aren't necessarily good, but the trick is not to hold on to those as energy forms inside and let them grow, but also not let them define who you are from the future going forward. You know what I mean? So if you can keep your heart open, it will be vulnerable, but if you can keep it open and still love despite all the challenges that you face, then your heart will actually be stronger and will put out more light and illuminate other people and spark them off and get them, you know, loving themselves as well, sort of thing. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Claire. Hi, Jackie.
Hiya, Matt. It's very interesting you're talking about this. I've always been a free spirit. Always been a free spirit. I've never, nothing's, if I've been offended, I've not been aware of it. It's bounced off me.
Good.
It wasn't until COVID year that I realised how the illusion was. And the more I'm listening to it all, the lies and the corruption and blah blah blah. It's got to the stage now where I don't know what to believe anymore. And because of this, I actually feel trapped now. I actually feel a part of me is trapped in the matrix, which I wasn't even aware of before COVID. But I've learned so much since then that I have grown spiritually and personally. And like you say, my heart's open, but it's made me stronger. And I'm going through a scenario at the minute. I've got that many bailiffs hanging, wanting me. And the thing is, they're threatening me with the stupid, ludicrous ideas. They threaten me, if you don't do this, we're going to take away your clothes or your jewelry or your car. And I'm thinking, take them, because I can always buy more. It's not a threat. And the other one was when people get community services, and the judges give them community service such as cleaning the public loos or sweeping the streets. I'm thinking to myself, where's the punishment in that? Because people actually get paid to do that. They're insulting those that are getting paid.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I see it. But the other thing was, I was going to say, because I have grown so much, I'm not forceful. I just let people have their own, do their own thing, say the thing. I'm not offended anymore. I'm not touchy about things. And then I can just quietly say, well, actually, it's blah, blah, blah. And I can walk away. And it's like putting a pebble in the pond and watch the ripples. And it's like, wow, she is so calm. You know, and that's what I get all the time.
It's good because when you face with challenges, they either bring you down or make you stronger. And obviously, in your case, it's made you stronger. And what comes of that is that you realise there's a lot of just hot air and noise, and people with loads of misguided ideas. But you don't. You also realise you don't have to entangle in them. You can entertain them and see where they are, but you don't have to believe in them and entangle in them. And that's what a sign of ascension is. You know, you're ascending being, and you can see a much sort of step back and see a much wider picture, and yourself included in that.
Yes.
And you realise, do I need to intervene at this particular time? No, I'll just let things roll smoothly. Or if you do feel like interjecting.
I've noticed that in conversations, they're just entertaining you. And I thought, wow, I've never noticed that in all my life. I mean, God, I'm 65 now. In all my life, I've never noticed that I've been entertained, but I'm spotting it now.
Yes.
And because I am spotting it now, I tend to keep quiet more. And it's like I'm waiting for the wisdom inside me to bubble up.
That's a really good way of doing it, practicing the pause, because then you can see all those, I could react that way, I could react this way, I could react that way. And then eventually one sort of pops up and says, hey, this one is probably the best all round for everyone. Sort of thing. And then you kind of like reply and it hits the mark. You see how people react to it, and it's like it hasn't offended anyone too much, or So practicing that pause is really good. And also, because you're ascending, you're now reading energy dynamics. So you're seeing what sort of energies signatures are coming off people and whether to entangle in that particular thing or not, sort of thing.
Yeah, I am, because my job, as you know, I'm a horse transporter, and I do use my inner wisdom, if you like, to weigh up how to handle a horse. Because all horses are different. They've all got problems through their owners. And everybody says to me, how do you know? I says, well, I just do. You know, I'm reading the energy. I don't read the person.
It's instinctual, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm reading the energy, and it's becoming more and more prominent now.
Well, I'd like you to take that thought now, because you handle horses and stuff, and they are random. They have different personalities and stuff. Apply the same to what you think is the matrix. You know, you don't have to put your thoughts and beliefs and energies into one camp. You know, you create your camp of beliefs on what's right and wrong for you and how you want to live reality. You don't have to conform to anything external in that sense. You don't. You said, you know, I don't know what to believe anymore. Believe in yourself.
Yeah, that's all I have to.
Because you can handle horses. So, you know,
Yeah, that's all I can do.
You got good strength for that, you know, to be able to think for horses and know how they think and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot going on there, and that's great intelligence. So you don't actually need to put your beliefs in any of those kind of matrix systems as well. So,
No.
thank you, Jackie. Appreciate that.
Can I ask you about this quantum financial thing? What is that actually all about? I don't understand it. I want to get
Well, the
clips of
quantum financial system.
Yeah, is that going to benefit us or is it going to hinder us?
Well, it's probably going to hinder us because it's relying on AI and it's relying. But you know, like anything, it has, you know, benefits as well. So, like a knife can cook and heal people with food, you know, or kill people. It's the same for AI and crypto. My view is that crypto, if it was so good, why is everyone trying to make you get onto it? Why is everyone trying to get you to join in? And why is everyone saying, "Hey, I made thousands of pounds," but they don't ever want to impart that money to, you know, all these crypto people. I'll put this message out here right now. All these people who think crypto is brilliant and wonderful and great and stuff. If you're making money, donate to PLC. Show us you're making money. Donate to PLC. Yeah, put your money that you're making into a good cause instead of getting people to sign up and join your club. Join our club. Put money in investors. See us grow. You know, any crypto people, if you're that good, I want to see your money. I want to see your investment, and I want to see our PLC grow, and I want to be able to do hubs, and I want to help lots of people. So if you're a benevolent person who believes in a holistic future for humanity, where humans are helping humans, then put your money our way. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we'll see. You know, we're going. It's a bit of a transition because obviously they want us to be on crypto and digital currency because then we're controllable. Whereas with cash, there's no middleman. You know, obviously they can print as much as they want. They can change the inflation rate and tax and this, that, and the other. But essentially, you know, cash is still the best because you don't have that middleman trading and you can do direct trade with someone else without any Visa company or credit card company getting involved or any website taking a commission. So essentially what's going to happen is that money is going to physical money is going to start including AI attributes. It's going to start including ledgers. It's going to start including blockchain. It's going to start including all. So depending on how we, as a collective, accept those different initiatives that are going to come up, will depend on how well the quantum financial system will go forward. But ultimately, like I said earlier, we've got processing power now that's accessing parallel universes that's traveling at this faster than the speed of light. So eventually all these countries are going to have to be sovereign states and they're going to have to set their price, their exchange rates, and then that's going to have to be set, and then everyone's going to have to reach a certain agreement with trading protocols as well, because then and then there's going to be a type of tracking system that will detect anyone who's going to be trading faster than that or trading to an advantage. So that's all to come. But you know, people are still wanting to use cash predominantly because they realise that they've got more control of that, and it's also a physical asset. Because if, say, we have blackouts, all those financial institutions, you know, and if their servers go offline, that's all the noughts and ones gone. That's all your money in the bank gone. And actually, I've done a painting about this.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, it's all noughts and ones, and if the power goes off, there goes your money.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got physical gold and silver, and coins and notes, you're still all right to trade. So we're in that transition, and hopefully we'll resist the AI aspect to crypto and crypto. I think it may go towards tokens, and but we're going to have some form of cash. But it depends. They can now track it with AI and quantum dot technology. So I think the whole world's going to have to agree on a trading system to keep trade going. So obviously we've got the BRICS initiative, and we've got several others, and it depends how they fare really. There's lots of kind of financial what's the word, algorithms or programs that they're trying at the moment. Things like with income tax and with the Dutch model and the Swiss model, taking certain percentages and stuff. And they're talking about universal currencies now, so people have like a universal wage as well. But I don't know what's going to come. But I'm thinking that it's still going to remain cash and physical assets, but then the AI and digital part will be added to that physical asset. So I hope that helps. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Shareva, let's go to you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm busy. I'm teaching aerial. I'm doing all the stuff that makes me sore. So yeah, life is good. It's sunny. I'm happy.
Good. Teaching's always good, satisfying,
Yeah.
knowing that you can kind of pass that knowledge on to younger minds or other minds that are interested.
Yeah. It's interesting, as I've met more and more aerialists, they're starting to come to me to ask, hey, do you have any information on this technical thing? Or do you have a connection that could help me with this thing? And I think that sort of Circus Arts TN, nonprofit type style, single person group, I think people are starting to look to me as somebody who might be able to make connections. So it's been a slow process, but that's really cool. I don't know. It made me happy because that's what I wanted. I wanted there to be more of a sense of community in the circus world here in this region.
I think that's the way forward. I think I'm seeing a lot more movements towards smaller social gatherings. Not the big lecturers in big halls and stuff. And like for example, cafes are holding themed days or themed afternoons or evenings, where say a whole chess club will turn up and everyone plays chess in the cafe, kind of thing. Or or it's like a reading session where everyone turns up with their books and stuff. So I see a lot more, hopefully, communities growing, whatever the theme or the topic. So definitely. Thank you, Shareva. Jane, how are you? Let's go to you.
I'm fine, thank you. Just so you're aware, it's 5 to 9.
Outrageous.
Yep, and I'm fine. You might as well carry on.
Move on. Okay.
Come on.
Who have we got? Terry. Hi, Terry. Terry Ann, how you doing?
Oh, hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hi. I've started a website called The Bigger Club, and it's up, it's live, but I haven't added all the links yet. And it's for it's so people can see all the people, the website's made for the people by the people, and all the things they're doing. And it's got stuff for, well, it will have all the links for children and food and farming, mind and body, and a couple of other things. All that sort of thing. And it's mainly for people who can come together and work on things together. One of the things is for creating local groups. That was one of the things I forgot to say. And it's just how to set up local groups for gardening and things like that. And then it's for content makers to come together to help each other and work on projects together. you know, so with that, like YouTube can be flooded with really beautiful things for the children to watch and things like that. So I've got to get quite a long time to get all this stuff on, you know, but I'm going to start podcasting so I can make people aware of it, if you see what I mean.
Brilliant.
And start the Zooms, yeah.
The more, you know, repositories of knowledge that's really beneficial to people, you know, pools, if you like, that they can dip into, the better, because that also kind of connects more, you know, interconnects more of those like-minded people and creates that network of light around the planet. You know,
it's because you're all splattered everywhere. Like you're doing your thing, and the People's Farming Alliance are doing theirs and everything. But I thought it'd be really cool to have as many. And it just says on there, if you see any links, then please, you know, send them in so I can add them. Do you see what I mean? So people can, and it says like pin this website so they've got it, so they can find everyone. Do you see what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. We're doing something similar with resources on our Telegram members group. So people can type in, say, A for Alzheimer's and find related information, or they can type in, you know.
It's got healing centres as well. Sorry.
Yes, and this is the way it's going to go. You know, we organise ourselves amongst the sort of holistic community, and then we're creating that alternate reality that people have somewhere to go who feel trapped in the matrix. So
be so nice for them to see how many of you are all this work you're doing. I'm not doing anything, like I'm not involved in any of that. I just wanted to scoop it all in one place and work with people who, do you know, like, because when I first found out about this sort of thing, I had all this anger, but energy of I really wanted to do something, but I just didn't know what to do. Do you see what I mean? And I think it would just give people a chance to work on these projects together and that feel like they're, because it says even if you just want to, curiosity, and you just want to see what's going on, just come on the Zooms and see, because everybody's. Another thing is, it says if your child's written a story, you can bring it to life. Do you see what I mean? And make little music. So it's all innocent things for the children. And I've also written a song, and it's oh, hang on a minute. Hang on, let me just do something. Sorry, 1 minute.
Okay, well, I'll just move on to Pamela. Hi, Pamela. How are you? You around?
Hello. Sorry, I can't get the camera to work, so it keeps freezing the program and all that kind of stuff. I'm doing okay. Good. And very interesting to talk about sovereignty and authenticity. Now, these are things I've been working on for years. And so one of the things that I found is that using a statement, I do not consent, to an idea, somebody trying to put that hook into you for something they're talking about or complaining about, whatever it is. I call them scripts, basically. So the news, I don't know, media, whatever, people will say something, and then people will take on that idea and elaborate it with their creative energies in fear, usually, because they're afraid of this thing happening, even though it isn't happening right now, and go on and on about it. And what they're doing is actually feeding the script. So the more you become aware of the fact that these are scripts and these are hooks and all these kinds of things, and you say this statement, or this is what works for me, saying the statement, I do not consent, will immediately put me in a place of, I guess, freedom from that energy. And puts you more into that sovereign state where you can pull in different energy and exist, as you said, in this world, even though there's all this stuff going on, because this is a transitional time and we came here to help transition to a better thing than what they're trying to do. And work with that instead, and work with those energies, and work with that self-generated initiative from within rather than the external.
Absolutely. And also, you know, we are divine beings, so we're random. You know, we come up with all these beautiful wonderful, new, strange, interesting things all the time, not that a computer won't be able to come up with because it has no imagination. So, also another one, like I love that I do not consent statement. That's really, I use that a lot. And another one I use is what is this information showing me? As well, to help put it into context with new things that are appearing and presented to you as well.
Yeah, it's great. It's, we're slowly moving away from all this stuff and setting a new trend, for lack of better words. But
it's exciting, yeah, because it's the wild frontier. They're realizing that you don't have to conform to the old rules, and you can make up your own new rules. So yeah, it's very interesting times. Thank you, Pamela.
yeah, but making up your new rules, your own rules too, it takes you back to the fact is what is truth and what are human rights, so to speak. What's your divine sovereignty? What is it you want to create? All those kinds of things. And it's it's a reflection. It's a lot of reflection.
And we can't do it on our own. We may have our own morals and ethics and our own subjective reality, but we live in a world with other people. So we do have to get along and do have to unite and do have to harmonize. And those we are constantly writing our agreements. So just, obviously be aware of what agreements you make about reality to yourself and with others. And we're writing new scripts, if you like, or new ways of perceiving reality and creating new agreements. And those new agreements will gather pace and literally change the nature of reality, because more and more people will be perceiving that collectively and then generating that into physical, or into this realm. I get tripped up on physical because I know that everything's not physical, but I know I have to say physical because people understand physical. But ultimately, we're just bonds of atoms, held together in electromagnetic fields. So nothing is actually ever physical, but I do have to use the word physical. Anyway, I just thought I'd put that in there. Jane, yes, hi.
Right. I was just waving to Claire, who just said she was leaving.
Oh, thanks, Claire. Nice to see you. Well, how are we doing for time?
3 minutes past 9.
Okay. Well, have I got to everyone yet?
I think so, yes.
I just wanted to nip back to Jackie. Say, no, sorry, not Jackie. Terry Ann. Sorry, Terry Ann kind of nipped off. You said you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, something dangerous was going on with the cooker. My son did something dangerous, so I had to quickly dash.
Gotcha.
I wrote a song and I tried to get it recorded. So I went to a studio and I paid some money and everything, and then they messed me around, told me to change the lyrics and everything because it's an awake song.
Yeah.
And it's about us being connected and things, and it's got some, lyrics in there, which are quite, of today. I wondered if you knew anyone who records in a studio. Would you know anyone who would do it?
I could ask my friend Vicky because I think she knows a sound engineer. So
okay.
Yeah, let me.
Is he a magician or is a musician? Sorry, or is he sound
musician? Yeah, sound.
Is he both?
Yeah, he's a sound engineer and a musician. So I'll see if I can get her contact details or his.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Is he in Ireland or England?
England. He's in England.
England. Okay.
Yeah.
He could do the music then, and then we could do the singing, put the vocals on after. Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah. Okay, also, good. Creative, collaborative projects. You know me.
Well, they're the only ones that will do it, won't they?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know any off-grid places in Spain at all or not?
I don't.
Okay. There's no communities.
Put it out there to Jane. Yeah, Jane, you were in Spain for a while, weren't you?
It was, but there's Danny. What's he called? Just Danny. He's on Instagram, does things all the time. If you look for him, and he's I think he's off grid. He's in southern Spain.
Oh, southern Spain's a bit hot. There's not much water down there at the moment. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can get that contact to you and
Oh, lovely,
get that
thank you.
collaborative project going. Thanks, Terry Ann. Appreciate you. Okay, guys. Well, I think that's it. You're all wonderful beings with the perfect right from source to live here and under your own rules of reality and love lots of people and be loved in return. So yeah, carry on doing that fabulous stuff and writing your own rules and not agreeing to anyone else who tries to put them on their ones on you. Well, yeah, next week I'm going to do another. Well, I'll save it. I'll save it. It's going to be quite a good one. Anyway, yes, I won't tease you too much. Have a lovely week. Keep being brilliant and keep, informing others about your reality. That's a lot nicer than the one that's kind of trying to be put up on us. Have a lovely week, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you all. Much love. Bye.
Matt, bye.
Bye.